Hi, and welcome to the updated Zway webinar about AI. More specifically, how AI can transform your knowledge into an asset. An asset you can sell and create enormous wealth from. This is a game-changing 1 and a bit hour course for business leaders ready to harness AI, amplify value, and stay ahead of the competition. Fair warning here though. This isn't just another course about using different AI applications and tools, most of which you see them all over TikTok and YouTube are set up by people trying to build commissions from selling the tools and apps they mention on their courses. Well, no, this course is different. It's a 1 hour course designed for people that can see the power of AI, but are at the same time excited about the advantages it can bring, and equally as nervous about what will happen to their businesses if they get it wrong. This course is a revolutionary take on how you and AI can uncover and amplify the hidden value in your business. Not just how AI tools can save you money, but how you can embrace this new world to completely change your world. One piece of advertising before we start, then no more after the course starts, I promise. If any of this piques your interest and you think, this sounds great, but how do I start? I'm going to need some help with all of this. Then come back to Zway. It's what we do. Everything you see here is what we do, and we're good at it. We get results and we stand by our deliverables. Zway doesn't just offer to create technical solutions for you. Sure, we do that, but it's only part of what we offer. Zway helps you to define your direction and helps you to ensure that your people come on that journey with you. In short, our deliverables are maybe 70% about people, 20% about processes, and maybe 10% about technology. You see, we found out over the last few years, if you get this mix wrong, you end up with expensive toys nobody will use that do nothing for you. Actually, we want to help you avoid that trap. It's still early days in the AI evolution, so getting this right now will probably save you millions in the future and the months to come. By attending this course, you've already put your business ahead of 99% of your competitors. You'll see that by the end of this course or webinar, I promise you'll see that. End of the ad. Now back to the learning. I've produced and delivered hundreds of courses in the last 2-3 years on the subject of business process automation. It's my expert subject, I guess you could say, but the amount of misunderstandings about this latest technology, AI, has shocked me. I've dealt with some pretty senior IT folks that have complete blackouts when it comes to strategies to deal with the shitstorm AI is about to bring onto their own business. Apologies for the French there. This webinar course helps you deal with all of that. A bit now about the scale of the opportunity ahead of you. This is the time it has taken various technologies we use every day to reach critical mass of about 100 million users. ChatGPT took on more subscribers in its first year since launch than the television, the internet, and Google combined. So you'd think that every company is embracing AI with open arms, wouldn't you? But the truth is, people are mostly playing with it. Businesses struggle to embrace it. But why? This course is a webinar that aims to help you understand how AI will affect your business and how, if you push into the curve, you can be a leader, not just a follower. To be honest, whilst the uptake of ChatGPT is interesting and a shocking example of how simple stories can go viral in these days of, well, user-generated content, this does not reflect the real uptake of AI. Imagine ChatGPT as the tip of an iceberg. What you see is impressive, vast, and game-changing on the surface. It's easy to be dazzled by its ability to generate text, answer questions, and assist with things like tasks. But just like an iceberg, most of the disruption lies beneath the surface, out of sight, but far more massive and consequential. Below the waterline is predictive AI and AI-driven automation, not to mention the dawn of AI autonomous agents. These are quietly reshaping the rules of engagement in just about every industry. This deeper part of AI doesn't just respond, it anticipates. It doesn't just assist, it replaces. Predictive AI can forecast market trends, customer behaviors, and even operational inefficiencies with precision, making traditional business strategies virtually obsolete. Coupled with automation, it can execute decisions and processes at a scale and speed no human workforce could ever achieve. Excuse me. The sinister part, this isn't just about making existing systems better. It's about changing the game entirely. Whole industries, ones that rely on intermediaries, repetitive tasks, or reactive decision making, are at risk. They're at risk of being disintermediated. I think that's the word. Companies that can't adopt or adapt to AI will find themselves bypassed, much like how online platforms displaced brick and mortar stores, much like how Netflix blew away blockbusters in months. Months. What you see above the surface is revolutionary, but what's lurking beneath has the power to rewrite the rules of business. The question isn't whether your industry will be impacted, it's how prepared you are for the impact. Now, this is the lowest cost, as low as I can make it, version of a much more in-depth course. A course designed for leaders, for thinkers. We charge a hefty fee for the main course. Why? Well, because it has a very hefty impact. We get away with charging so much because the benefit to the company that is taking the course is often completely earth-shattering. And I'm not overselling this thing. This stuff you must get to grips with. If not on our course, then choose another. Just make sure you do it, please. Today, you're going to learn what the 3 different types of AI can do, how you can use them and gain understanding of actionable steps to implement AI today. Whilst we won't have time to cover the heavy technicalities of how you do it, we will give you enough information to be pretty dangerous. Hell, most people don't even understand the nuances of the 3 different types of AI deployment. I'd suspect that after finishing this webinar, you will know more than 80% of other business leaders out there. Now that's a massive edge. But additionally, it'll provide so many ideas, it will change the way you are perceived in your own company, not just around the coffee machine with anecdotes, but in the boardroom with firm, impressive suggestions and plans. As I mentioned before, in the past, I've been shocked at how little people really know about AI. So let's do a quick interactive poll to see where you are starting from, please. All you need is a pen and paper or a notepad of some description to jot down your scores. It's a pretty quick and simple, but maybe useful for you, if you do it honestly, to see what you do and don't already know. Each of the following 10 questions comes with a check question, just to check you're telling the truth. There is a total of 75 points to win. What do points make? Prizes. Your prize is to know where you're at. Let's get started. On this first question, here is how you give out your own points. If you answered A, you get 1 point. B is worth 3 points, and C is worth 5 points. All 10 questions are set out the same. So A, 1 point, B, 3 points, and C, you get 5 points. Then if you correctly said the answer number 2 to the question on your screen is correct, you can award yourself 2.5 more points. So the potential here was to create 7.5 points for this question. Try and be honest. On question number 2, you give out your own points. If you answered A, you get 1 point, B, 3 points, and C, 5 points. I won't do that for every question. Then if you correctly said the answer number 2 here is correct, you can award yourself 2.5 more points. Wonder how many people are up to 15 points already. In my experience, not many. On the third question, question number 3, again, you give yourself 1 point for A, 3 points for B, and C is 5 points. Then, for the question, in bold at the bottom, if you correctly said that the answer number 1 is correct, you can award yourself 2.5 more points. We're whipping through these quickly, these questions, but the point is to just see where you're at, not to win any prizes, really. On the question number 4, you give yourself 5 points if you answered for C, 3 points if you answered B, and only get 1 point if you answer A. Then, looking at the question at the bottom, if you correctly said that the answer number 4 is correct, you can award yourself 2.5 more points. Question number 5. A, 1 point, B, 3 points, C is 5 points. Have a quick look at the question at the bottom. Which of these is not an ethical concern with AI? If you correctly said that the answer number 2 is correct, you can award yourself 2.5 more points. Halfway through the little check questions now. On question number 6, again, it's the same thing. A, if you get 1 point, B, 3 points, C, 5 points. Then, if you correctly said that the answer number 2 is correct, you can award yourself 2.5 more points. Question number 7. Same set out, 1 point A, B 3 points, C 5 points. Then if you look at the question at the bottom, if you correctly said that answer number 1 is correct, you can award yourself 2.5 more points. Question number 8, nearly done. Give yourself 1 point if you answer A, 3 points for B, C for 5 points. Then if you correctly said the number 4 is correct to the question at the bottom, you can award yourself 2.5 more points. Number 9, same setup. Have a quick look at the question at the bottom. If you correctly said the answer number 2 is correct, you can award yourself 2.5 more points. And then on question 10, I hope we haven't whipped through these too quickly for you. You get 5 points for saying C, B is 3 points, and A is just 1 point. And for the question at the bottom, if you correctly said the number 2 is correct, you can award yourself 2.5 more points. Now, let's quickly add up the scores you gave yourself. What did you get? If you got any score up to and including, say, 37.5 points, but not over 37.5, you really do need Zway to help you prepare, and this particular webinar is going to be very, very useful for you. If you scored up to 60 points, you're knowledgeable, but not ready for the challenge on your own yet. But congratulations, if you scored above 61 and up to 75 points, which is the maximum, it doesn't mean you won't like this particular webinar, because the detail here is going to be perfect for you. You know your stuff and you are prepared. Now let us help you to get started, perhaps. So, what is AI? AI or artificial intelligence, is simply technology that can think and learn in ways that mimics human intelligence. It processes information, recognizes patterns, and makes decisions to solve problems or complete tasks, often faster and more accurately than humans. Why is it different to what we had in the past, though? Well, here's a slide to discuss my view of the evolution of technology over time. I'm just old enough to have been here for each of these decades working in technology. You could argue that AI was present much earlier than I say it is, and in truth, I suppose it was in the background, but this is the timeline most people saw. In the 1980s to 90s, we had what we called computers. Technology began with basic computers that could only follow strict pre-written instructions, programs, if you will. Think of it as a calculator doing exactly what you tell it, but nothing more. By the 2000s and the birth of the internet, the rise of the internet connected the world, enabling computers to share vast amounts of information and perform more complex tasks. Search engines, for instance, made finding information easier, but they still relied on rules set by programmers. By the 2010s, where the world had smartphones and big data, technology became more personalized. Apps could predict what you wanted or recommend music, but they still weren't thinking independently. But by the 2020s, with the launch, or so-called launch now, of AI and machine learning, AI builds on all of these advancements by learning from data and adapting over time. Instead of just following fixed rules, it improves its own performance the more it's used, like a robot learning to recognize your voice better every time you talk to it. As of 2025, this machine learning so far is equivalent to the amount of a one-year-old and what it's learned in its life and around them. Just imagine what power these machines will have in the next 5 years when they reach maturity. There are three core things that make AI different to other internet facilities, as I would call them. Three key advancements in technology that explain why AI is growing so fast now. Firstly, ML, machine learning. In our full course on AI, we examine this in much more detail, but for now, here's a snapshot. Imagine you're typing an email and AI suggests the next word. It learns from what you typed before and improves with practice, much like how predictive text on phones got better over the years. This is what we call ML, machine learning, and it's a crucial part of AI. If AI can teach itself, one would argue that its intelligence grows as it consumes more and more information. It is important to note here that whilst people consider AI and machine learning is like a human thinking, it isn't. AI can't reason as a human would do. It's merely predicting what the next word might be from a massive amount of words it has already consumed. However, that being said, it is now already becoming so good at mimicking human thought, it's hard to tell the difference. The next element in AI that sets this technology apart from normal internet computing is NLP, natural language processing. NLP puts data into context. For years now, computers have used a mouse and a keyboard to input data, to give instructions, to ask questions. And when it responded, it'll do exactly what it was programmed to do. It would respond to your typed command. It had no way to understand why you were asking that question or to understand the sentiment behind the instruction or the core intent you had. But AI technology now understands human inputs from your voice. It can speak multiple languages. It can understand nuances, sentiment, and it can detect core intent. The amount of teaching required to make your own system smart. Essentially, it starts to teach itself. Now, this sounds scary, doesn't it? But, well, if you are scared, then you jolly well should be. Finally, we come to scalability, powered by what we call LLMs. Sorry for all the TLAs, three-letter acronyms. Large language models. For years, mankind has always tried to develop chips that can speed up and make computers more capable and faster. But now, with AI, the scalability isn't linked to just hardware or computing power. Here's what I mean. AI can process and analyze vast amounts of data at a speed and scale humans can't match. And this isn't just about crunching numbers, it's about extracting actionable insights from data lakes in seconds. Imagine applying the collective intelligence of thousands of analysts, continually learning and refining and making it available 24/7. AI takes the concept of scaling beyond physical infrastructure. It scales knowledge and intelligence itself. In short, AI is the next step in making technology smarter, evolving from machines that simply obey instructions to ones that can make decisions and improve themselves. Deploying AI in most businesses is what I would call digital transformation 2.0. So what is digital transformation? Digital transformation is when a business adopts modern technology to improve how it operates, delivers services, or interacts with customers. For example, moving from manual or traditional processes to digital systems, such as using cloud-based tools, automating workflows, or improving online customer experiences. Essentially, it's about making a business faster, more efficient, and better suited in today's digital age. Here's why I'd call AI implementation digital transformation 2.0. AI implementation can be seen as 2.0 because it represents the next evolution of how businesses use technology. Whilst the first wave of digital transformation focused on making processes online and automating simple tasks, AI has gone well beyond that by enabling systems to analyze data, predict trends, make decisions, and even learn over time. Most people refer to AI as ChatGPT, and in some way they're right. ChatGPT is indeed a large language model that provides generative AI. And this is where you supply prompts, instructions really, and the AI will generate content or information in the form of texts, images, audio, or video. Nearly all of you will have used ChatGPT by now, but many don't understand that this is a small part of the picture. AI is also used to automate the previously done business processes in systems like CRMs and service and sales funnels. For example, in a while, I'll share with you a picture of an AI-run automation engine. I wrote that in a few minutes. The most under-referenced AI, though, is what we call predictive AI. These are tools and models that can reference the past and decide on what will come next, actually predicting. Most company teams I teach about AI want to talk about how they can use AI to make their life simpler. Of course, they worry about their job losses, but they're also keen to use generative and automation AI in their day-to-day life. But few are prepared for the storm to come. This is the storm that will be created by predictive AI and what's known as agency AI. Predictive AI has the ability to make some companies and their products and services completely irrelevant. People are already creating whole businesses around predictive AI, businesses that could completely disintermediate some very large companies. You need to consider how you can use predictive AI as part of your deliverables, like creating new products entirely, changing the ground rules on your whole industry. Why? Because if you don't do it, somebody else will. Agency AI is another level and has just started to grow. There are bots now that can manage whole end-to-end projects, not just individual tasks. Much more on this subject later. AI is often misunderstood. Many people think that they can just use AI to solve a problem, as if AI is a magical one-size-fits-all solution. The reality is quite different. AI, like electricity, is just a utility. On its own, it doesn't solve problems. It provides potential. The real advantage comes from how you apply it. Think of electricity initially. It was used for simple tasks, lighting up a room, much like how many people use AI tools like ChatGPT today for basic outputs like emails or simple text generation. But electricity didn't transform industries until someone paired it with a deeper understanding of a specific field. Maybe this isn't a great example, but take the sewing machine, for example. When electricity was used to power it, and someone with expertise in tailoring designed how it would work, it revolutionized garment production. This wasn't just about lighting a room, it was about understanding the opportunity to combine utility with knowledge to create something transformative. I'm hoping this is making you think a bit here. The same principle applies to AI. The opportunity isn't just using AI to do basic tasks. If that's all you want to do, you're probably on the wrong webinar. It's in pairing AI with your unique expertise to create intellectual property. For knowledge-rich businesses, this is where the game changes. Your knowledge, when structured and enhanced with AI, becomes a framework, a system, if you will, an asset. You're not just solving problems, you're creating solutions that others will pay to use. The question isn't how do I use AI, it's how do I combine AI with what I know to change my industry, build value, and create something that lasts. The sewing machine revolutionized tailoring. What could your unique combination of AI and expertise revolutionize? AI isn't just a buzzword, it's driving real change in industries like consulting, finance, and estate agency. I've just picked one example there. Let's explore some tangible examples of how AI is creating value, solving problems, and reshaping how businesses operate. In consulting, consultants often sift through mountains of data to derive insights for clients. AI tools can automate this process, rapidly analyzing data sets and generating actionable insights. For example, imagine a consultancy advising a retail chain. AI could analyze sales patterns, inventory turnover and foot traffic, and all the data to recommend optimal product placement strategies. AI can model the likely success of various strategic initiatives. For example, a consulting firm advising a merger that could use AI to simulate market conditions, helping clients anticipate challenges and plan effectively. AI enables consulting firms to create robust internal knowledge systems. For example, a firm can deploy an AI-driven knowledge hub that categorizes and retrieves historical case studies, making consultants faster and more effective when responding to client needs. In finance, AI systems can monitor and analyze financial transactions in real time to detect anomalies that may indicate fraud. For instance, a bank using AI could flag an unusual withdrawal pattern and alert the account holder within seconds, reducing potential losses. AI-powered financial advisors, or robo-advisors as they're being called, can create tailored investment portfolios based on an individual's risk tolerance, financial goals, and market conditions. This makes financial planning more accessible and precise for clients. Instead of relying solely on traditional credit scoring, banks are using AI to analyze broader data sets, such as spending habits and employment history. To access loan risks more accurately, this can help approve more borrowers while managing risks effectively. Think of estate agency. AI can analyze market trends, neighborhood dynamics, property features to provide real-time, accurate property valuations. For example, an estate agency could offer instant AI-powered valuation reports to attract more sellers and build trust with clients. AI-powered tools can create virtual tours, giving potential buyers or renters an immersive experience of a property without needing to visit in person. It's particularly useful for international buyers or those relocating to a new city. AI can analyze a buyer's preferences, budgets, desired location, amenities, and match them all with the most suitable properties. This saves agents time and improves the likelihood of closing deals quickly. One idea I'm hearing that may completely revolutionize the property market, here goes. It's from Rory Sutherland, who had a vision where every property is always for sale. So AI would match the owner's propensity for change, their willingness to sell, in other words, with a price level. Here's an example. I've already found my forever home and have no intention of selling my 4-bed house I've just built in Milton Keynes. But for 2 million quid, I might. One exercise I do with my own clients when consulting is to ask them to imagine what services they could provide if their clients were willing to pay 100 times more than present. Then I ask them to consider what services they would provide if their clients were only willing to pay 1% of what they do presently. You'd be amazed at the stuff this brings out. These examples illustrate the transformative power of AI. It's not just about automation. It's about creating smarter, faster, and more personalized ways to operate in any industry. Imagine you were a factory owner in the 1900s when everything was powered by steam engines. It was common practice and everyone relied on it. Then someone comes to you and says, here's electricity, it's cleaner, more efficient, and can revolutionize the way you power your operation. Many factory owners didn't switch immediately. They thought steam works fine, why change? They ignored the opportunity, and within a decade, their competitors who adopted electricity had lower cost, faster production, and a decisive market edge. Those resistant to change were left behind. This is where we are with AI right now. It's the transformative tool of this generation. The industries that embrace it will dominate. Those that don't will stagnate, or worse, disappear. So ask yourself, are you going to cling to the steam engines while your competitors plug into electricity? Ask yourself, are you going to be the retailer who dismissed e-commerce? The opportunity's here. The question is, will you seize it, or will you look back in a few years and wish you had? So enough now about why AI is so great and why you should be involved. If I haven't already convinced you now, nothing will. But what about the dangers of AI? Let's take a quick look at that and a little bit of mitigation. After all, we're all cautious creatures, aren't we? AI has a number of inherent dangers to a business. Now, I won't address the philosophical issues of AI here or discuss the rise of the robots or the dangers to humanity or the Matrix. I'll leave that stuff to others. No, for now, I'm just going to cover what dangers are perceived regarding the use of AI in your business. The three main dangers of AI come in direct line to the three things I just noted that make AI different from other technologies. Let's see if you can remember them. The first one we spoke about was machine learning, ML, and how AI learns in context. Well, most AI models and LLMs, large language models, that you're connected to worldwide, they're connected to everything. On one hand, very powerful, but on the other, very dangerous. Think of it like this. It would be like sending your 6-year-old child out into the world on her own to learn about humanity. You have no idea who is telling her what. This is important because if you have no idea what information is training your AI, you have no idea what the generated responses are going to be. Secondly, you may remember we spoke about scalability, how AI grows by scaling information itself. Well, what impact is that going to have on your costs? At the moment, all large language models charge by using a token as a measure of usage. This is an unknown amount of information in exchange for an unknown amount of money in many cases. Not a great model if you're budgeting. And once you start, it's hard to stop. People are worried, and rightly, about getting fleeced by the big tech firms that run OpenAI. Another really important factor about large language models in AI, one that most people don't understand. Every document you upload, every question you and your staff ask, every piece of information you communicate goes into what AI calls training data. In other words, your information is used to train other people's AI agents. Think about that. Many companies currently have no rules when it comes to their own staff using AI. In their day-to-day work, perhaps now you know this, you might like to consider putting some guidelines and rules as soon as possible, before your family silver is put onto eBay for all of us to see. Lastly, we spoke earlier about NLP, natural language processing, the ability to put your information and the interactions with people into context. In short, this is the way your AI agent would speak to the world and how it understands its own core intent. NLP is going to allow AI agents to act completely autonomously, not just for a single task, but across long-term projects. They'll be able to make decisions for you and talk in real time with agents owned by others and fighting your corner for you. The scary part, these agents won't be working from rules or algorithms you've written. They'll be acting on their own volition, making decisions from all it has learned. I think you might consider all three of these things important and critical, and almost critical that they remain for now under your own control. And I do too. Let me be clear, I'm not anti-OpenAI. I'm not against having a worldwide resource of information to learn from. I just don't want my 6-year-old child being corrupted by unknown sources until I've had the chance to teach them something myself. This is why we now have, wait for it, AI in a box. AI on-prem, on premises, if you will. Your chance to use AI, but control where your data goes and how you respond to requests. This is not a sales pitch. I promised you it wouldn't be, so I won't mention this again. Just to say, if you want to control your use of AI but reap the benefits we discussed, you need to speak to me about getting your own AI in a box, put into your network as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you don't fancy that, you can just let your employees out into the world using your own proprietary information and pay the bills when they come in. And they will, believe me. As I mentioned earlier, we've all been on a journey together in the last few years, and most businesses that compete successfully have already automated large parts of their business. So let me explain what I mean by automation in this aspect. As a company delivers its products and services to its customers, it has a way of doing that, a process. Each person in that process has their own workflow, the things they need to do at the right time in each process to make it run efficiently. But if you have a process that involves 3 or 4 people, for instance, each doing their own bit, the two things that must work are, 1, the person required to do their bit at the time must be notified on what to do and by when, obviously. 2, to do their part, their thing if you will, they'll probably need information. What's already happened, what does the customer want, etc. Of course, turning up to do your thing without the correct information being on hand is pointless. Excuse me. The two things must work seamlessly for the process, the chain of individual tasks, to be completed. A process is completed when an agreed deliverable has been produced delivered and communicated. In this chain of events, the process, communication is key. In fact, it's critical. For example, if my colleague has already done their bit and I'm expected to now take over and do my bit, if my contribution is not requested, if I didn't expect it to be coming, perhaps I was doing something else, it just won't work. Equally, if I get to undertake my part in the process, but I don't have the history or any other relevant facts needed to do my part, the process breaks. So far, the only automations most companies have produced is automating the passing of tasks in a process and ensuring the information required to complete the next thing is at hand and at the right time. And that, my friend, is what is automation of a business process. If you're not already doing that with tools and apps that might help it happen, then you're probably not even in business. This is where most companies sit right now, employing people to do tasks and empowering them to do it as best as possible. AI automation for efficiency and scale is something completely different. Let me explain. Take the same example of a process that needed 3 or 4 people to do things and consider what would happen to your business, to your time, to delivery, to your costs if all of a sudden that 4-man job turned into a 2-man job, a process that only needed the input and work of 2 people. The process remains the same, you just don't need people to do things. AI does it instead. AI doesn't have a time off. AI doesn't have bad days, and AI rarely makes mistakes. Now, consider that process as just one single part of a longer project. AI agents are now being built to manage entire projects and even to interact with other AI agents to complete tasks. I'll give you more real-world examples later, and you would be shocked at the range of tasks AI can do better than humans. Basically, even now, even in its infancy, AI can do most tasks that don't need human empathy, manual skills, or personal judgment. One would even argue about the last one of these, to be honest. If your competitors were all of a sudden able to deliver the same products or services as you, but their provisioning and delivery were now half the cost of yours, what happens to your market share? If your customers could get a faster service from your competitors, and it was easier to do business with them than you, what happens to their customer loyalty? Listen, forget about would you recommend us to a friend and customer satisfaction scores. They mean nothing in this new world. When somebody comes along having the same thing as you and they can deliver it at half the cost in half the time with half as much effort, your customers are gone. That's AI for efficiency. Now, let's talk about understanding and engaging customers. Henry Ford once famously said that he'd never asked his customers what they wanted because all they'd say is that they need a faster horse. He meant that customers really don't know what they want, but they do know how they feel. How they feel when they use your service, how they feel when they spend their money. And AI will tell you this critical information. An AI agent can watch every single customer interaction and tell you exactly when customers will buy, what they'll buy, and why. AI is now so intelligent that it can predict the future better than a person can. Here's how that helps. An AI customer journey agent that continuously maps client journeys from the first time they see your ads to the time they get their delivery of their wonderful XY widgets or whatever else you sell. But then with the power of subtly changing the process you use on the fly to make it better and better, to try out new approaches and report back on success KPIs in real time. An AI agent that can follow your own sales and customer engagement script perfectly, and even change based on customer feedback or comments in a split second. An agent that can deal with incoming inquiries and make outbound calls to book clients or solve problems. And just forget about any comparisons with the old press one to get sales scripts. These agents now sound more realistic than your own staff and know a whole lot more than most of them. This is the reality right now for AI to understand and engage clients. Now, the next 5 slides are about what we do on the Amplify consulting engagement. What we do that is so special, it often changes sales figures exponentially. In the case of a financial services customer of ours, it doubled their sales in 6 months. Most of our clients see upticks in sales of over 30% inside the first year, and you won't believe how we do it. To explain what I mean to say on this slide, let me set the scene. Example 1, 2 companies sell identical products. Perhaps they buy from the same supplier at the same discount level. Example 2, I'll use the estate agent's example again. 2 estate agents compete to win the listing of a new property, one that's just come onto the market, and both agents have the same time or experience in the business, and both have similar fee structures. Question, who will win the deal in each case? Answer, it's the firm that shows the most value for the money spent. So obviously, price is what the customer pays, value is what they get. But as we already said, they can't show value in their offer or lower the price. So where is the value? The value is in the systems, the processes, how they do business. But business processes and operating procedures don't just win business, they determine how your customers perceive you. You have no idea of the number of times I've worked with a business spending hundreds of thousands on ads and marketing to promote their products and services and building their brand, when all of the time the one single thing that made them special was never mentioned. In fact, most of the business owners didn't even consider it special enough to mention. Instead, they carried on talking about the same old features and benefits everyone else in the market had. In the example of estate agents, Zway did a small survey recently on social media asking the question, estate agents are all the same in my area? True or false? You know what the answer was. You don't even need me to tell you. Of course they're not the same, but everyone perceives them to be. No 2 companies do things in exactly the same way. Their standard operating procedures have grown over many years, grown from the lessons they've learned, grown from their experience and that they have, and grown by constant iteration and gradual improvement. How they do business is what makes them special. It's the same for every company, but it's hardly ever used. AI can analyze your processes, the way you work, and make comparisons to the rest of your industry. It can find hidden gems of knowledge you have, ways you work, and shine them into nuggets of solid gold. Gold that you could sell and never run out of. You don't need to make more, you just keep selling the same gold. And even better, when you come to sell your company, the gold is worth even more than it was when you first discovered it. If you've just discovered gold or any other precious gem, what is the first thing that you do with it? Yes, you start to shine it and craft it into something so beautiful, so attractive, customers want it. It's the crafting of these jewels that makes them into an asset. After all, a lump of gold, when first discovered, rarely shines. Same for diamonds. At this stage, it's necessary to take the insights we have, the special processes we found, and to turn them into tangible assets. But how do we do that? Simple. We use the Amplify process to design frameworks that people will associate with value and people will remember as yours. In our full course on Amplify, we teach you exactly how to do this. The process is amazing and you won't believe the assets you can create. Don't believe me? Here's an example of somebody that just did just this. This is an old example, actually. Stephen Covey wrote a book years ago entitled The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. You're probably one of the people that purchased it. It was a bestseller for years. But that wasn't how Covey made his millions. The diagram that you saw on the book is how he did this. To be clear, if you've read the book and understood the diagram, you'll know that Covey's insights are useful, but nothing groundbreaking really. His thoughts, whilst clear, could be exactly the same as any other productivity expert. But it's the diagram he used that spawned a whole industry of trainers and courses that has in the last few years created billions of dollars in revenue for both Covey himself under license and his agents and franchisees. Let me tell you, it's much more likely that your business has value than a single author would. Much more likely. With processes, our job is to make them sticky. Let me explain here what I mean. This book in 2007 by Chip and Dan Heath covers very nicely what is required to make an idea sticky. If you haven't read the book, you'll be interested. As an example, I'll read you a story. A friend of mine knows a guy who, when in the States on holiday, met a beautiful woman at his hotel bar, and she invited him to join her for a drink. He remembers consuming the drink, but the next thing he knew was he woke up in his hotel bathtub full of iced water, with a phone next to him and a sign that read, "Stop, don't move, call 911 and ask for a paramedic." It was then that he noticed a hole in his side and a tube that led to a plastic bag beside the bath. His kidney had been harvested. It's funny, isn't it, that these stories always happen to a friend of a friend, never to someone you actually know. I'm guessing you've heard this before somewhere. Everyone has. Not sure it ever happened or not. Moral of the story was, be careful who you get drinks from when out with strangers. The story's simple, easy to understand, maybe unexpected if you haven't heard it before, and it's very specific what happened. We call that concrete. And more plausible, I think, quite credible. This, in short, is how your new framework IP asset must look when we've treated it. Simple, easy to understand, concrete, plausible, sticky. Make no mistake, this is an art. It's not easy and requires a lot of thought and idea crunching to make a boring business process sound like a sticky story. This process is dealt with by generative AI much more easily than by humans. We use generative AI to take our new messages, our new frameworks, and our new ideas and turn them into assets. We create a series of blogs, documents, studies, social media posts, videos, graphs, diagrams, and podcasts, and we publish them until the world knows the IP associated with this new asset belongs to you. We establish you and your company as key people of influence. Talking about assets. In his book, 24 Assets, Daniel Priestley says, income follows assets. This is one of my favourite sayings, and I quote it regularly. That's me with him in the picture. I'm the good-looking one. He means that any true entrepreneur must try to create as many assets in the business as possible, and those assets are what makes you do most valuable. The creation of the asset, a sticky one if possible, is only half the battle though. Now we have to set you out and your company out as key person of influence around the theme. Key person of influence is the next book in Daniel's trilogy, and I highly recommend them if you haven't already read them. Your sticky story, combined with a tangible IP asset, combined with a series of communication events, will position you and your company as a leader as a person of influence in your industry. You may consider yourself to be there already, and if so, great. But this extra proof point won't do any harm, will it? The systems we use to position you as the owner of the IP, and therefore the only person who really knows about it, is very specific. We deal with much of the grunt work for you here, but you can also take things to a whole new level by writing manuals and books using your own resources and contacts to publish and make some of your content truly newsworthy. This step is key part of the asset creation. It has an even bigger relevance to the process of protecting your asset from thieves. Another example of someone who followed this process is Kyle Barmer. Kyle is a good friend of Zway and a mentor to our AI activities. I am for one in awe of his magnetic personality and ability to make even the most complex issues sound simple. But it wasn't always like this for Kyle. Only a few years ago, Kyle was broke, pushing IT courses he created in his bedroom and speaking to empty rooms for less than £500 a day. Life was hard. Kyle has read everything there is to read about AI and has, over the last few years, become one of the world's most knowledgeable people on the AI revolution. But things really took off for him when he used the framework to IP strategy we've just spoke about. It's Kyle that first coined this phrase more than a year ago in a YouTube video. Kyle identified that one of the biggest problems people were having when working with large language models, such as ChatGPT, was that they just didn't get out what they wanted because the prompts they were using were just not good enough. People were starting to say things like, oh, ChatGPT is rubbish. Most of the stuff that comes out is made up, and so on. Kyle presents ways to create accurate and effective prompts by following his RISEN framework, R-I-S-E-N. Easy to remember and easy to follow. I could explain it to you fully, and if you want, but I'll charge you for that and pay him a small fee whilst I'm at it. Today, as a direct result of this move, Kyle demands £1,500 an hour for packed out speaking events all over the world. His YouTube account alone has over 1 million followers and rising. Kyle is a key person of influence in AI. So let's just take a step back and see what we've done so far before we discuss how we can protect it. First, we found a suitable way to deploy AI into our business in a way that pays for itself in demonstrable return on investment, is free of risk as far as we can, and becomes a key aspect of our everyday work. Then, we used AI to store, query, and organize all of our documents from history until now. Next, we mined this information and created business intelligence that gave us new insights, new ideas, and isolated specific key processes that we use that make us who we are. We took those nuggets of gold and created memorable frameworks that become business assets. Finally, we used our own in-house AI tools to generate a long-term marketing campaign full of business assets and unique IP and content. At this stage, we've completed the process equivalent to mining Bitcoin, and lots of it. Now we have to protect our new assets from the very realistic threat of theft or copyright infringement. Now, I know all your senior staff are of the highest quality and loyal to your business. Their hearts and yours are one. Of course, nobody is planning to leave, set up on their own and compete with you for the same client base. I mean, who'd do such a thing? Now, I said when using the last slide that not all methods to protect your IP are obvious, and here's what I mean. You obviously already have lots of legal ways to stop employees stealing your IP. Non-compete clauses, non-disclosure agreements, and all that good stuff. But the framework to IP process we've just outlined goes one step further. It ensures that your assets are so closely associated with your company that nobody else can claim them as their own without paying respect to you. Zway can manage the process of trademarking the names or identifiers we create for your new asset, and the process we use to communicate the whole program protects the work itself using copyright. Trademarking involves some legal application, but it's easier of the two processes. Copywriting involves meticulous communications, and this is all part of the Amplify program. Can I also mention that your company assets form part of the value of your company, but only if it can be proven to be your asset. That brings me to the last reason to protect your IP properly. If people can use your assets without paying, whether it's paying attention or paying money, then you're missing out on revenue opportunities. So we've discussed creating assets using AI. Now let's talk about protecting your business from the very real dangers of AI. For those of you here that remember the first cell phones, they were like giant bricks, weren't they? The only people that could afford them or had the strength to carry them around were service engineers. This meant that the uptake of mobile phones was much controlled by companies. It wasn't for at least 3 years after the original launch around 1985, they became widely used by the general public. So that by the time normal people started to use mobiles, as they became, in the workplace, firms had already gotten to grips with how they should be used. Indeed, we even had an acronym for it, BYOD, I think it was, Bring Your Own Device. Bigger firms even have locked-down environments and use Blackberries, etc. But for AI, it's hit us much quicker, and things are a lot different. If you work for a company that shares important confidential information with you via email or text, you can now get your work done faster and for free just by pumping information into ChatGPT or Gemini and asking it to produce responses. People are already doing that, using generative AI to do their work. But where do you think all that information you put in goes? It goes to train the robots. Potentially it goes into great data lakes that trickle down to your competitors. This isn't some great conspiracy theory, this is what happens. Firms are now asking if AI should come with a health warning. So it should. Ask yourself, if AI offered to do all of your banking for you, make financial decisions for you, manage your investments, wills and insurance, would you be happy to pump all of your personal information into an AI cloud? Of course not. Now consider this. If all of the LLMs, large language models, NLP, natural language processing, and AI technology was available to you in a box you own and control what goes in and out on your premise or in a data center, would that feel more secure? There is now a role for the AI in a box, or as a company would call it, AI on premise. Think about that. The dangers for AI is very real. It's just a different sort of danger. So the ones being spoken about on the streets, where people talk about AI taking their jobs or the machines taking over, no. The real issues or dangers lie in overinvestment, data quality, and the mess caused by lack of integration and information scatter. On the subject of AI costs, just like the best drug dealers, AI product is being offered by many as free. And just like the very best drug dealers, these people are giving the strongest hit for free up front, sucking us in with a world of free answers to any questions, free pictures and videos, free apps that do magical things. But we all know free isn't free for long. Before long, everyone will be putting their own AI costs onto expenses, and firms will start to pay big style. AI is a great resource for business, but just like any other resource, costs have to be controlled. $30 monthly subscriptions can soon become many hundreds when token consumption models apply, as they do. Costs of AI can be controlled if the consumption was not done through the cloud, but rather through your own appliance, your own AI on premise, your own AI in a box. Apart from hosting and some maintenance, the consumption costs would be very low. On the subject of data quality, have you heard about what happens when AI hallucinates? Hallucinations is a phrase dreamed up by the lords of OpenAI. It means giving answers that are completely wrong and just made up without any research, backing, or substance. It does this at times when it can't answer your question with the data it has. Not a great work ethic. Imagine a doctor that diagnosed patients by opening the medical dictionary and picking the first random illness it could find, and then setting out on a whole treatment plan for that malaise. Unthinkable, right? So why do companies think it's acceptable to risk the health of their business this way? There is a way to control how AI uses your data, but first you have to control what data it uses to answer your questions. Now let's speak about integration. And it's not just one for the techies. Here's why. When immigrants come to a new country, they integrate with society in their new home as quickly as possible. They learn to speak the same language as everyone else so they can communicate. They work to the same ends as their other citizens, and they aim to become part of the whole. Just like people, AI can only be useful or productive when properly integrated into your business. If you keep control over the places it's introduced, consumed, and used. At the moment, the way AI is being consumed is akin to any country having an open borders policy with no control over knowledge or over where people come from or what they do and where they go. A policy that will lead to cause mayhem if left unchecked. It's quite clear firms need to control AI integration, and it needs to be done through a few points of truth rather than hundreds of thousands. These are all of the issues that AI on premise, AI in a box can solve. Adopting AI can feel overwhelming. Where do you start? What systems do you integrate? And how do you ensure it's done securely? That's where Zway comes in. We don't just provide frameworks, we deliver tailored solutions that, along with your business goals, Zway has created a whole platform of events lasting 6 months, and we call it Amplify. We facilitate a secure on-premise AI server of your own, with your own LLMs, trained on your own company information. We integrate AI into your processes, uncover hidden IP, and ensure that your business isn't just keeping up, but leading the way. We're your partner from strategy to execution, ensuring you get measurable outcomes and a competitive edge. Picture this. Your business is no longer competing on price because your offerings are uniquely positioned and differentiated. Your team works efficiently, guided by AI-driven processes. Your customers view you not just as another service provider, but as an industry leader. That's the power of Amplify. It's not just a framework, it's a transformation. From boosting revenues to creating a legacy of innovation, success with Amplify is about unlocking your business's full potential. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what others have said. These are the results of combining AI with structured frameworks, a journey just one step away from starting with you now. Ready to unlock the power of AI in your business? Here's how you can get started. First, book a consultation with us to discuss your personal goals. 2, explore the Amplify Framework to IP course to gain actionable insights. And 3, attend one of our workshops for hands-on guidance. Taking any one of these first steps today positions you to lead tomorrow. Opportunities like this don't last forever, though. Spaces for our consultations are filling up quickly. The future isn't waiting, and neither should you. Secure your spot today to ensure you're ahead of the curve, not chasing it. So, to recap, I've covered some key parts of the Amplify process and gone into some detail about how we find and shine nuggets of gold and how we create stories and assets from what we find. I've described how we use digital media to tell the world about the new assets and make sure nobody is left wondering who this wonderful new methodology belongs to. I just covered the importance of using technology, and in particular AI technology, at every step. The full version of this course with insane levels of detail is available for about £1,500 through the Zway online website. But now let's talk about what you can do to get started with this whole idea. How you can take the first step to creating new incremental revenues and increase shareholder value in your business or your clients' businesses. Let me be straight with you. Nothing will happen. You will receive no gain, no advantage, unless you act now. But please know this, the next action I'm offering you is also risk-free. Now, I don't want any credit card details, no free trials, no commitments. Just click on the link that pops up here if you're watching this webinar online and book a free one-to-one call with me to discuss your potential, your company's potential, to explore what's in it for you. Of course, we have something to sell you. I wouldn't be wasting my time here if we didn't. But I know it's not going to be suited to everyone. As I said earlier, some companies are just not ready yet. Some companies are not in the position to get the advantages we bring. But others that have control and responsibility, the ones that control a business, that own hidden assets that can make huge returns. If this is you, then I urge you to act now. Booking this call is the only route into our new client funnel. You can't place an order online for anything other than the complete Amplify course. So you need to act now. Click the button or call us at a time convenient to you. I have two offers for you. One where I just act as your guide and allow you to do the work yourself, or a more compelling offer where over a 6-month program we do it all for you, like a managed service if you will, but nothing will be available to you until we speak. So the only route we have into our consulting pipeline is through an initial call. We tried in the past allowing people to sign up on the web, but this just created issues for us when the client base we were growing were just not the right sort of people, and we get the maximum result from people that make efforts as well. So it's this whole Amplify idea is to create an environment where results are virtually guaranteed. If we can't see the potential in working with you, we just wouldn't start an Amplify program. These checks and balances ensures we can work perfectly together and you and your shareholders can receive the gains you expected. So as I click the button to end this webinar, and I thank you for your most valuable time and attention, I urge you to click the link to book your call now. If you have any questions, I can answer them on our call. It's free to speak with me, so don't worry. It's just the next logical step. You've already shown me that you have the intent and the need to increase revenues and to create valuable assets. So you just need now to click the link in the box or call me as soon as possible from the number on the screen and book a time suitable for you when we're both free. Goodbye. Speak to you later.